Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And you can probably hear there are birds singing in the background, and I'm in front of the most stunning view, I think, nearly in the county. I don't know what lake I'm looking over, but luckily the farmer is here with me, Margaret Edgill. Thank you very much for having us. We're in Mount Briscoe. So Margaret, where are we? What lake am I looking over?
It's kind of like a floodplain, so it's a raise. It's the bog that's Bordnamona bog, and so I suppose technically they've blocked the drains, so it's a bog that's been harvested, and it's called Cavemount Bog. It's 232 acres, and so what they're doing is, I suppose it's the water table's rising, and any rainfall that's on it, so it looks like a lake, and I'd be really happy if it becomes a lake in due course, and it's a wetlands with loads of birdies and things. But we're a little bit away from that.
But the birds are singing, and it is an absolutely beautiful spot here. And your farm, I have to say, is stunning. All the mature trees around here, so I think it fits in. I think if it does become a lake, it fits in perfectly with where you are, doesn't it?
I know we're very fortunate in terms of biodiversity here, and we actually keep guests, and we had a guest here staying only a night ago, and she heard the woodpecker at 4 a.m, and we were very elated about maybe a month ago when I heard the woodpecker out in the field.
I don't think I've ever heard one.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. Brilliant. I thought it was her. She told her son, and the son said, because they had American connections, and he said, no, they're only in America. You're daft, you're dreaming, And she was like, no, it is. So she asked us in the morning, and we were like, yeah, no, there is, it's great.
Yeah, really good. So besides the woodpecker and the lake, which is not yet a lake, what have you got going on the farm? How big is it, and what's the land like? And I saw some lovely cattle on the way in as well, but tell people what you're up to.
Yeah, so it's a 100-acre farm, 40 acres of which is in forestry, and has been since the early 90s. We're organic and have been since probably like 98 or possibly earlier than that. We're a beef suckler farm, and it's a grass-fed weanland system, and so that's the kind of primary business. And then since I've come home to the farm, we've started doing Airbnb. We've 2 glamping units. We do a host of different things. So we used to have a small kind of. I'm interested in rare breeds and native and traditional breeds and all that. So we had a rare breed show for a number of years, and then with COVID, regrettably, that kind of died. And then so we have the glamping, we have the farming part of it. I've introduced a number of rare breed cattle. We used to show cattle. We also keep Irish draft horses. There's a lot of we have planted new fruit orchards, etc., and we would have already have an established old heritage orchard, and so we harvest a lot of them food and make preserves and cordials, and we've a range of food that we sell mostly in the autumn because it's all autumnal and it's all kind of in season. And to kind of work with the system. So we're spring calving in the spring, then it's all about harvesting in the autumn, and then in the summer we do accommodation. That's kind of the picture. We also produce a range of breadboards and wooden utensils and things like that.
You're busy. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you are very busy.
Mad, yeah.
And you have guests here from Goa at the minute, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Very nice people. They're here for about 15, 20 days or something, So he has there's kind of husband and wife and a sister-in-law and a young baby. He's only 1 today, actually. And they're he's visiting his mum and stuff like that, and so they've come for this period, and they're nice. They're extremely nice. She's a serious yoga dude. Teaches people proper yoga teacher.
That's lovely though. But why do you think they want to come to an organic farm? Because I meet a lot of farmers that are always thinking of kind of growing their business or looking at having accommodation on their farm, and sometimes they're scared of taking that leap. But do you find that there's demand there for people to come to?
Oh, yeah, there is. I think there is demand. It wasn't. How would you say? To me, it was another revenue stream, and it was like suck it and see if it works. I'm only on the Airbnb platform. I'm not pumping loads of money into it in terms of marketing it or anything else. And there is, it's it's a demand based on reviews. It's a review-based product, So people have booked me and said, can it really be that good? I mean, people have come from the States and said, I really want to go to this place with such exceptional, strong reviews, and then they've been very happy. So it's not. Of course, we work hard at it, and we look after them, but they primarily come for R&R. That's what we're selling. So indirectly that's what the product has evolved into, is that people come and they may only stay 2 days. Like we did an American visitor recently, she'd done a whirlwind tour around Ireland and she'd done 2 days, in the typical like Dingle and Kilkenny and Dublin and all that stuff, and then she came to me at the end planning on going back to the States, and she said, no, I'm going to stay 4 days, so that's what happens. People, and they don't go, you expect them to kind of go and do all the local attractions, but in the main they stay on farm, eat the food from the farm, enjoy the cows, chat to the horses, chat to us, and it's great because we like it. It brings people, it brings life to a farm. That, I'm sure you know yourself that farms can be they're always considered like you work in a solitary environment, but in our case the accommodation and the people that you meet adds dynamic to a farm.
I know you broke your shoulder a couple of weeks ago as well, but I would be keen to see just a few other parts of the farm. So will we go and have a little walk and a little look, not too far, but just a little look.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So the main house is Mount Briscoe house, and which my parents live in, and then there's a section of that which is actually predates their house. So there's about 1800s, and Mars, my bit, for want of a better term, is 1700s, and I renovated that. Probably 2007 is when I started it, and it was a complete, the floors were gone, and the ivy was growing out through the windows, and trees were growing through it, and everything. Like it's pretty wrecked, and so that's all been renovated. So it's a 3-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, kitchen, sitting room, studio space at the end of it,
and it's so pretty. It's a like white 2-story building, and kind of, what I say, kind of very old, like old-fashioned farmhouse.
Oh yeah, no, it is. Yeah. No,
and you've added some lovely. I love the pink geraniums sitting on the windowsill. So lovely.
My brother's responsible for those now, But no, he's a good man with all the window boxes and things. But yeah, so that was kind of there, and that's on the east side, faces out, as you said, across Cavemount Bog. So the townland is Mullalock or Cavemount, and so that's there, and then we're going to walk down to where this is a 4-acre orchard, and the wall garden is on that side, and that's 2 acres, and then this is a 4-acre orchard, and we've put in a shepherd's hut here that a friend actually made for me.
It's so cute. It kind of looks like a large-scale Wanderley wagon or something like that. Yeah. And even I love the colour of it. It's kind of like an ocean blue. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. And so this is an old crabapple tree here. And then I've recently put a deck on it and stuff. So
it's lovely. It's like a ship's deck. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
And then this is, you can have a little view.
Oh look! And there's a double bed inside and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so clever.
It's sweet, and this is handmade. That's from cherry from the farm, and it's hazel tree, little stool here. The bed is handmade, so the whole thing is handmade, but the bed is actually handmade as well.
That's so cute. And there's a little kettle and everything in the corner, and pretty much. And then people come out here and just chill out, and they have their own deck and their own chairs and everything like that.
Yeah. And a barbie and fire pit and all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I see you have
bell tent.
Bell tent. Is that what it is called?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like a small scale tent from like a Genghis Khan era or something, something like that.
It's actually really sweet, and we only got that last year, and it's been very popular. And it's kind of worked really well with mummy, daddy and 2 kids, or mummy, daddy and 1 kid, and they just kind of want to give them a camping experience, and mummy, daddy want something a bit smarter, and there's hammocks and all that.
They don't want to erect the tent themselves, essentially. Yeah.
So they come and have dinner, either here they have a barbie, or they go to Brown's in Trilspath, which is very, very. That's kind of my go-to restaurant that I recommend for everybody, and they give a very good service and people are very happy with it, and then. You know, they come back here and have the crack, and should we sit down drinking with them till 3 a.m? I said, "You're mad." You know, mad.
The full farmer experience there.
Yeah. You know.
But did you find, was it particularly, I guess, popular over the pandemic as well?
Yeah, here was very popular. So the whole place was very popular actually with domestic, what I call domestic tourism. People that were mostly Dublin, mostly urban areas, and they came down with their kids and they wanted to go cycling and they wanted to be safe. You know, a lot of them were in the medical area, so they kind of got the whole concept that, you know, space and distance was important, and they wanted to just chill and get away from that and bring their kids and go and cycle. And you know, you want to be tough cooking how to cycle up and down our avenue, and they were 6-year-old kids pedaling away, you know. But yeah, so they loved it.
Yeah. And how have you found demand since the pandemic? Has it kind of stayed consistent?
It's reverted back to before. Our market would have been international, it would have been very North American, and it's reverted directly back to North American. So domestic for the hut primarily, and the tent, and then the house has gone back to being USA, you know.
But it's been fine. It's still
no,
demand.
it's good. It's stronger probably at the beginning of the year. Quite a little bit quiet now, which is bizarre. A little bit of cancellations with car hire prices and stuff.
It's mad, the kind of the ripple effect of all of that.
Yeah.
That's mad.
You know, so hopefully that'll you know, come back to normal. You know, but and I have a man who's coming this Friday, and he only and also very lastminute.com type bookings. You know, there's a man coming from the USA, and he rang me on Monday, and he wants to stay on Friday, and he hadn't even left the States yet. He was leaving, you know, 3 days later.
But what's been key to that? Do you have a website? Do you have social media? You know, how?
Yeah, I'm absolutely
how
terrible.
Does it all function?
Okay,
honest.
I'm absolutely terrible, and that's something I need to. I mean, I was a marketeer. You know, that's what I did. That was in my past life. You know, selling tickets, selling concerts, selling everything.
Yeah, the R&R that you provide is actually seeped into you as well. You need to try and pull back, a little bit.
Yes, I do have a website. It's it's not optimized enough and all those things that it should be. You know, and you know, that's my fault. Can lay the blame with only me exclusively.
But do people book and people find you through the website? Has that been?
They find me through Airbnb.
Okay.
You know, and they might suss me out through Google. You know, they might, if they were really local, they might just go on Google and say they were coming to Tullamore, or they were coming to do something locally, or going to Tullamore show, or whatever the thing is. They'd find us then. But most people simply look up Airbnb and find us then. And we are going to, I know you referred to the shoulder industry. Had that not occurred, I would have been doing farm experiences, and that would give you more, you know, better algorithms and all that kind of jargon. But also that was part of the project. I was proposing to do this year, and I'll probably get it on stream, you know, a bit later than planned. But yeah, we also do an outdoor dining event. That was something else we did last September, which was great.
So you're full, it's nice to come because you're so full of plans for the future.
Yeah.
So what's the plans for the rest of this year?
I'll do the outdoor dining event again. So we did that kind of at the end. It was kind of like a harvest celebration, and we did that and we sold the tickets in 15 minutes. You know,
really?
Which is great. Yeah.
How many tickets?
85
in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it wasn't desperately strategic. I knew in my head I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I knew I was going to do it. We had to slaughter the animal and dry age her, and all that stuff was done. It's a heifer from the farm. And then I had to rent plates and everything. You know, I was like. And then, I knew what the picture was going to be, and I had bought all the lighting, and you know, so we'd lovely kind of, it was a bit of effort now, you know, but it was all done about 4 days beforehand, you know. On the day the lights were going up, you know, and then I had a chef who came from Athlone, Argentinian chef. We made our own grill. I planked my own timber and made all the tables. We actually had organic oat and straw. So everything came from the farm, with the exception of dairy, because I don't milk cows. But everything else, every morsel that everybody ate, came from the farm.
That's incredible.
And it was actually a really special evening. You know, that the weather was actually rained at one stage, and I just put them under those beech trees that you referred to, the canopy of beech trees there, and there were people came from Galway. People came in their camper vans, and she didn't even know. They're just like, "Can we park?" And we were like, "Yeah." And they all went. I went home again and had a great time. You know, so it was a 5-course meal. Cocktails and all that kind of jargon, you know, and it's a good night. But it was, I suppose, you know, it's maybe not the best way to go. I'm being very honest with you, but it was done on the basis of, I'm a real kind of see what the market wants, because, you know, test it and see, is it I think in my head that there's a need, but I have to justify if it's just me having this, micro idea for myself versus is this what the public actually want? And clearly they did when 85 people said yes, because I only WhatsApped it. I just sent it out in WhatsApp to mates, and they all went, yeah, fine, great. Not mates, but people that had been previous customers buying, cordial or stuff, and they were like, yeah, great.
But that's amazing that you did. And I guess as well, because we talked about this, all the supports that are there for, say, young farmers, and not looking at the advantages that people who have had jobs before can actually bring to farms, because you had that previous experience, and while you say, look, it was a micro idea, you still had the wherewithal to kind of put it together and just the bravery to give it a shot. And I think especially with all the changes that are happening on farms, we had the farm income survey, National Farm Income Survey come in, and it's still fairly diabolical for, say, the average suckler farmer out there, average beef farmer out there. And you would normally be the average suckler farmer, but you're looking at diversifying that and just trying different things. Like, you need to be brave enough, and you need to have this experience to actually do it.
I'm not even sure if it's about being, okay, you can classify it as being brave enough, but I actually think it's having a realisation that the numbers don't stack up from just purely doing suckler. If you want a farm to be sustainable, if you want it to thrive, and if it's an old place like here that needs investment, you have to get that money from somewhere, and you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to challenge yourself and stretch yourself and do new things. That's how I made personally. I kind of like, okay, done. What's next? That's just me. It's probably not the best way to go about things, but that's my personality, because I'm just constantly have ideas and want to do. I can't help myself. So most people would be very focused and very single-minded about what they want to do, whereas and people would criticize me for being a bit mad goat wanting to do this, that and the other, but I do have a very long-term view as to what I want here to be and how all the bits will have to come. But because my view is very different than what my parents would have been, which was very much a traditional suckler herd, and they did very well at that, and they reared a family and did all those things that were expected of them. My father had an off-farm income as well, which was what the Chaggases of this world would have pushed people towards. So I think I just, like you say, in terms of a more mature farmer, I look at it a bit differently because of my life experience and because of my interests. So like I planted dams and orchard, I'm starting to put in apple trees and to and also because that's what, interestingly, the back history of this farm was that my great aunts and stuff kept diaries that are there from the 1850s of how many jars of plum jam they made this day, what they harvested, how much butter, where they sold it to. So it was very much a mixed farm, and I want to try and gear back to that. I can't do everything overnight. I mean, I'd love to have sheep, I'd love to have hens and all that kind of stuff, but at the moment the trees need time to grow, so we're trying to get those in, and so I do want to produce drinks and cordials and everything else.
Be fabulous. So in 5 years, when I come back, what's it going to be?
What's it going to be? It's going to be, I certainly have definitely a line of cordial that will have, I'll just have more volume. I do have it at the moment and it's good, but I don't have enough to sustain a yearly product, So that I'll certainly have a cider.
And these are all organic cordial, organic cider.
Everything is organic. We currently make our own candles and all this kind of jargon as well. We'll have more of our own honey. We will have a more rounded experience. So currently, if you come as a guest, we don't have a huge volume. They will get supplied veg and everything else. So we'll have more of that going on. We'll definitely do the outdoor dining. The outdoor dining, I think, is a bit special, so I think it actually probably should just be like once a quarter or something like that if we get to that. I'd like it to be Friday night, come and eat. I'm very into kind of be of, stay of, eat of the place that you're in. That's just come and eat and live and breathe what Mount Briscoe can offer you. And understand what farming is about, and people come and I talk to them about the cows. I know I'm digressing, but they ask me a question and I'll give them an answer that'll take 10 minutes, because I'm just passionate about it.
I even find, like you mentioned honey there, and we harvested a tiny bit of our own honey this year, and you speaking of eating of the place, being of the place, breathing of the place. I find when I take a spoonful of our honey, the first time I tasted it, I thought, oh my God, it tastes like home,
Yeah.
but it tastes like, you know, the air that I breathe at home is in like all the floral scents, all of the trees, everything like that is in one spoonful. So actually I think the food, that giving people that experience of eating the food from a place is a really important aspect of that.
Yeah, and I think there's a cohort of people that are very much, particularly young people, get that, you know, and are embracing that and want to do it. And then there, you know, we had yoga here all last year, you know, so during the summer, we started in July, probably again because of my shoulder, it didn't happen this year, but I wasn't doing the yoga. The yoga teacher came and she approached me, and we had classes every Saturday morning, and they were amazing. We did that. We gave them tea and coffee, and we got up early in the morning, made bran scones and all the rest, you know, mad. But it's all part, so it's kind of, you have to kind of do things to figure out where you're going to be. But to answer your real question, like, we'll be an accommodation provider. We'll do, you know, tourist accommodation. We'll probably do the health and wellness aspect, and I'm renovating another building. We'll probably do weddings in a very kind of no more than 50, and to be a venue that does stuff that's intimate, that's real, that's in touch with what we're doing, and that it's manageable, and that there's still that personal service, you know, and that they can have the experience. Because there's a lot of heritage to here, a lot of heritage to the family, etc. So that's how I see it. And then also, you know, have a fruit product that's sustainable and that's, you know, of the place. That's kind of where I want to go. And a few cows as well thrown in for good measure.
Definitely some Herefords. Well, Margaret, thank you very much for that. And if anyone's interested in coming, sure, you have a website. I hear it's due an update, but it is working, or Airbnb as well is available as well. But for everyone listening, thank you very much. You were listening to Margaret Edgill from Mount Briscoe. And if you've been listening to the podcast, obviously it's the Organic Matters podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And for more information on organics, visit www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But until next time, take care.